Welcome to Comics Bazaar, the channel of comics commentary and arcana. This video features X-Force number 17, cover dated December 1992, and this is part 8 of the 12-part X-Cutioner song crossover. So the cover here featuring Stryfe versus Apocalypse, and Stryfe getting a good punch into Apocalypse there. And right beside it here we have the Skybox trading card that was originally polybagged with this issue, the polybag long since gone. And we've got an image here of Mr. Sinister by Larry Stroman, inked by Al Milgrom and coloured by Paul Mounts. And if I turn this one over, we have got text from Stryfe's strike file. How does one put into words the purity of a lifelong hatred? How can mere words suffice when live wire, open-fleshed nerves ignite sparks of tension at the sight and sound of his name? And an inset image there, headshot of Mr. Sinister by Larry Stroman too. So just to mention before I open it, this cover is by the interior artists Greg Capullo and Harry Candelario. So let's open this one up to the splash page, and this picks up directly from the previous part of the crossover. We have Stryfe, who has made his way into Apocalypse's Egyptian temple, where he has been regenerating in a cocoon, but Stryfe has made him emerge from the cocoon and is about to attack him. So the title of this story is Sleeping with the Enemy, and the creators are Fabian Nicieza, writer, Greg Capullo, penciler, Harry Candelario, inker, Chris Eliopoulos, letterer, and Frenchy Buccellato, colorist. So pretty cool splash page here by Greg Capullo, and let's turn over the page and see what we have. Now we've got one of these. It's almost as if Rob Liefeld were back. Have to turn the page this way for you to see. We've got a vertical double page splash, except really he's only using one part of this second page for the rest of Apocalypse's foot here. But this is presumably a punch he's thrown at Apocalypse, because we don't really see that in the way that Stryfe is drawn there, but it still is a pretty cool image. Stryfe there calling Apocalypse a liar because Apocalypse is baffled as to exactly what kind of problem Stryfe has with him. Stryfe here saying, in this very Shakespearean King James Bible language, you owe me everything that's gone wrong with my life. You owe a world for the wrongs you have foisted upon it. Millions cry in agony every day, but that screaming is like unto silence when compared to the lonely cries of an abandoned child. So throughout this fight, we get these increasing hints regarding Stryfe's origin. And of course, you know, the question is, what did Apocalypse do to him as a baby? And who was he as a baby? These still mysteries at this point. So let's, oh yeah, I just want to make sure that you have seen fully the second page here. And now I will go back to the usual horizontal view. And we have Stryfe looming over a weakened Apocalypse, because Apocalypse's healing process is not completed. So he's not at, excuse me, full strength. And Stryfe continues asking these rhetorical questions. How long has it been since you cried a babe's tears of need? How long has it been since you longed for the gentle warmth of a mother's touch? Do you want to know how long it has been for me? It has been forever. A forever solitude brought on by you, father of pain, son of the morning fire, trying to reach your teleportation matrix, Apocalypse, trying to escape. Where can you flee? To safety, says Apocalypse. And he gets a punch in, at least, and knocks off Stryfe's helmet, which Stryfe says a final feeble attempt at salvation. Very well, hate maker. Now that you know who I am, are you prepared to die? And Apocalypse here is baffled as to what Stryfe looks like underneath his helmet, and confused. And Stryfe says to him, yes, master of the time stream, destroyer of my past and my future, it is I. And he's got this sword in his hand, ready to strike, and he plunges it right through Apocalypse's chest and says, "And now you end, dead outside, dead inside like me, a man out of place, a man out of time." And Apocalypse here is shocked, looking at the hilt of the sword, the blade, "But how, when I once used it to kill you?" So this is interesting because he thinks Stryfe is Cable, but as to when Apocalypse used the sword against Stryfe, this hasn't happened yet. This is something that Fabian Nicieza is setting up. It will turn out to be the case down the line, but not yet here. And then Apocalypse does manage to land on his teleporter and ports away. "Stab his eyes," says Stryfe. And where to, we'll see a little later on in this issue. So Stryfe replaces his helmet, and then the Dark Riders emerge, presumably from hiding, but they were witnessing the fight. And he asks them, "Who has bested Apocalypse?" And they say, "You have. Who do you follow?" "We follow you," because they are signed up to the principle of survival of the fittest, and they follow the fittest. And so Stryfe has bested Apocalypse, so now they follow Stryfe. And then our scene switches to Grey Malkin. That's Cable's ship orbiting the Earth, and Bishop and Wolverine are there with them. They body slided away from Canada up to the ship, so now we pick up with them. And we've got this little funny bit where Logan is lighting a cigarette, and the ship Grey Malkin puts out a cigarette. He's not too happy with that, and Cable says to him, "Don't blame the computer, it's only following its program. Where I come from, smoking isn't considered very smart." Wolverine says to him, "I don't like you, Cable. I've never liked you. I like your house even less. It's got as much personality as you do." And Cable says, "More, actually," or he whispers it. "Come on, we've got a job to do." And then he catches them up on everything he knows about Stryfe. And he says here that Stryfe is more than a terrorist, more a force for anarchy, born and bred for chaos, but desperately trying to find a sense of order. Wolverine's not impressed with the poetry, wants more information. So Cable commands his computer, which he addresses as Professor, to recount the full log on Stryfe. And the two guys there pretty baffled at Cable's address to his computer as Professor. So then we get the full deal, well, what Cable and his computer know about Stryfe, that Stryfe, a self-proclaimed anarchist and fomenter of political dissent from the North American Pact region, circa, well, the years 3783 to 3806 AD. So 3 millennia in the future. And then we get this detail on that future. Stryfe has participated in acts of aggression against both the controlling rulers, the High Lords of New Canaan, as well as the rebellion forces known as the Clan Chosen. And then there's this pivotal battle on Christmas Day, 3806, where the Canaanites defeated the remnants of the Mao-Sino Province Pact, thereby consolidating control of global forces. So we've got the Canaanites are troops of Apocalypses there, and then more information. In an effort to maximize potential for anarchistic endeavors, Stryfe and Displacement Unit, designated 0, fled to the current temporal zone circa 1983. So, of course, this issue coming out at the end of 1992. So it's basically saying that Stryfe has been in our timeline for almost a decade. Obviously, engaging in various machinations. And then Cable continues beyond the computer account. I first encountered him about 8 years ago. I knew he was a man out of time because, says Cable now, so am I. I was a part of the Clan Chosen who sought to overthrow Canaanite rule, so effectively battling against Apocalypse. When we failed, I came to this time. So, Wolverine sums up, so you and Stryfe are different sides of the same coin? Yes, no, maybe. So what exactly is their relationship to each other? Cable continues, he came back to exacerbate the mutant rebellion to try and prevent the High Lord ascension. I came back to try and control the ascension, to ensure order in the future. There's just one problem, well, one major one anyway. I recently fought Stryfe hand to hand and learned something about the man inside the armor. By the way, at this point I want to comment on Chris Eliopoulos' choices here in terms of these augmentation of certain words, and it doesn't make sense in some ways. The emphasis on certain of these words, like inside here, doesn't really make sense. We'll see that also throughout the rest of the issue. I don't know, is he making his own choices there, or is it indicated in Fabian Nicieza's script that he wants that degree of emphasis on some of these words? I'm somewhat doubtful of that, to be honest, that latter option. And Wolverine asks, as he strikes a match to light up another cigarette, and what was that? I found out something that Kane, Weapon X, said was true, that underneath his helmet, Stryfe wears my face. And Bishop asks then, he's a duplicate of you, or Cable of him, Wolverine says. And then, like, Grey Malkin is getting ready there to put out Wolverine's cigarette, but Wolverine takes out the extinguisher first with his adamantium claw. But Cable's too wrapped up in his thoughts to intervene on the point of Wolverine having a smoke on his ship. And Wolverine says, it doesn't answer the obvious question. Why are you and him walking around with the same face? And Cable doesn't know. And then the scene switches to Professor X's mansion, and we have a scene here set in the infirmary. We've got Stevie Hunter helping out here. We've got certain X-Men who are out of action because of the fight with the MLF. Rogue there, still blinded. Gambit out of action. Boom Boom with a broken jaw. And then Havoc comes in and takes a walk with Cannonball. And Cannonball is on his way down to the Danger Room because Havoc wants him to talk to his team down there because, in Havoc's words, they're acting up. But Havoc himself goes to another section of the infirmary where Beast and Moira MacTaggart are conferring about Professor X's condition. The techno-organic virus has taken over his body. He's enmeshed in techno-organic a techno-organic mesh on the outside of his body. And Val here tells Havoc that Beast and Moira, who is advising, and presumably she's back on Mur-Isle, but she's advising over the screen there, that they're going to attempt to remove the virus from its core, the point at which it first enters his body, which is basically the headshot that Stryfe directed at Professor X. So Havoc asks, isn't this a kind of a desperate move here? At this point, Alex Storm says, desperate methods, maybe the only ones Charles has left. So Professor X's life hanging in the balance the whole time. Now we get this interesting, because this is an issue of X-Force. We get to catch up with the other members of X-Force being held in the Danger Room, now in individual cells. And we've got Madrox is down there and Rain is down there. So Rain talking to Richter and Sunspot, her former teammates on New Mutants. And Richter and Sunspot make the point that they've only recently joined up with X-Force. And really the implication is the pair of them should be out too, with Cannonball and Boom Boom, because they weren't really part of Cable's original X-Force. And you know, Rain says, like, she's kind of thinking about everything, and she kind of concludes here, perhaps she can't say who's wrong and who's right anymore. Perhaps there's no difference at all. But Sunspot maintains that there is a difference. Just depends on which side of the bars you're on. And this is an interesting drawing of Capullo's. This is, to my eye, distinctive of his style at the time. just look at the way he has this kind of top-down, three-quarter profile view, and the degree, or the way to which, the manner in which, maybe it's better to put it that way, sunspots, cheekbone, and jaw align here. A very smooth line, kind of implying like a flatness to his face. Interesting. And as I said, distinctive of Capullo's style at this time, which I like, by the way. And then we continue with the character bits where we've got something that came up before in the crossover, this relationship between Siren and Multiple Man in the Fallen Angels miniseries. But Madrox makes the point here that it was one of his dupes that had the relationship with Siren. And he says to her, in many ways, the man you knew wasn't me. And I like this bit of Irish slang here. Don't be a tosser. Isn't a duplicate of you still you? I won't explain what a tosser is on the video, but you can look it up if you want. And Madrox says, I think, but it's like I see us on a movie screen. I don't feel it here in the heart. I'm only aware of it up here in the head. And so this really disappoints Siren, and that's the end of their relationship, the last that we ever hear of it. And Cannonball here, walking past his troops, asking them how are they all holding up, and just look at their faces. As Sunspot says at the end, fine Sam, just fine. So they're not happy at all in those cells. And then we pick up with Stryfe again. This is a great image of Stryfe striding forward here in full armor by Capullo. I like the lighting and spotting of blacks on this. A good combination, Harry Candelario and Greg Capullo. So Stryfe takes a look in on Scott and Jean, who are his prisoners. And we see this enigmatic look on his face. What does it mean? Does he feel something for them? He doesn't, on this occasion, torture them. And he moves on, but both have been faking being asleep. Jean wakes up there, or opens her eyes rather, and they're ready to move. She has telepathically learned the code for the cell from Forearm, and they make their way out. This is a great little image here, breaking panel. Border by Capullo, nice stuff. And so they've busted loose from their prison cell, but where are they going to run to? And then we go back to Xavier's mansion for the last scene of the issue. So we've got an energy manifestation there which blasts in through the front of the X-Mansion. We have got some of the X-Men and Lorna Dane ready to handle any threat. And who is it? Well, it turns out it is Apocalypse, and that's where he teleported to, the X-Mansion. And as soon as Warren catches sight of him, he is absolutely bristling to kill him. And of course, the relationship between Warren and Apocalypse goes all the way back to X Factor 15 and 23 and 24. So in X Factor 15, Warren, after the mutant massacre, after having his original wings amputated, in a deep depression, commits suicide, but Apocalypse whisks him away at the last minute. And then in X Factors 23 and 24, we see what he did to him, turning his skin blue, the metallic wings, all the rest of it, and enlisting him as one of his horsemen, his dark angel of death, as he calls him here. Looking so predatory, he says, so dangerous. A comfort indeed to know such fury is waiting to be unleashed, and that this game will soon come to an end. This is nicely drawn here by Greg Capullo in this anchor image of Apocalypse. So Apocalypse underpowered throughout this crossover because of his too early emergence from his healing cocoon. And here we've got Warren just going after Apocalypse. This is a great a couple of panels here where he shoots the razor-tipped feathers at Apocalypse, but Apocalypse grabs them or blocks them with his forearm and tells Warren and the rest that they don't understand. He says, "My glorious child, my bird of prey, I did not come here to fight you. I came, as I said, to end this game, and that means defeating the madman who hurt us all." So we know where this is going, and the only hope there is of accomplishing that is for us to battle Stryfe together. Okay, so Apocalypse looking to team up with the X-Men to take out Stryfe, the mutual enemy. So now we have come to the end of Act 2 of this 3-act crossover, and it's going to be continued in Uncanny X-Men 296, and the information on that is the focus will turn to Scott and Jean as they seek to escape Stryfe's deadly prison. The X-Men and Apocalypse forge an uneasy alliance to save Xavier's life. Don't miss the next chapter of X-Cutioner's Song. So I do hope that you enjoyed this review and commentary on X-Force number 17. If you did, please like the video. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for more content like this.